We are back. Credentialed episode 4, I believe, and truly somehow, Matt, our talking about golf, our messing around has led us to this moment where we are talking to two not just up and comers. I think you guys have come up at this point. Andrew, after that performance last week and been off to a great start to the year. Super excited to have you guys on today. Really appreciate you joining us. And you're here because you guys are teamed up at the Zurich Classic this week. Just to kick it off, we got a lot to talk about. Great performance last week, of course, Andrew. But how'd this partnership come together, and how are you guys feeling about the week?
Yeah, I've been bugging Ben to do it for years. We played a lot at home at Sea Island, and finally worked out this year.
I reached. Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I was going to say, Ben, you both have played this event before, but just not together, right?
Yeah, we've bounced around with different partners the last couple of years. We should have just stuck together from the get-go, but that's probably more on my fault. My first year I played with Ryan Girardi, as a teammate of mine at UNC. Then last year we chose different partners, and then here we are this year. So we're ready to go. We play a bunch together in Sea Island and play a lot of money games there, and we've had success. So we figure we might as well just go ahead and do it on the tour stage.
Yeah, I really think Andrew was excited to have you on because I reached out to him last week and I was like, "You playing Zurich?" He goes, "Yeah, Bermuda Ben." So I was like, "All right, you guys are dialed. You guys know what's coming this week." So yeah, should be a really fun week. Adam, kicking off with some questions.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wanted to start actually with outside of how the partnership came together in the Sea Island games when you guys are battling. Does it sound like you're on the same team and you're playing against other guys, and that's how it came together? That it seemed like a good partnership, or just playing together like one-on-one? Like, how did that come together?
Yeah,
I would say like
team games we don't lose.
Yeah,
never once.
You get on different teams like different times, but it just for whatever reason seemed like every time Ben and I were on the same team, we were making money that day.
And apologies too if we're a little nervous coming into the pot. First time doing it with the big boys, and on that front, being nervous, being down the stretch. One thing we always talk about on the pot is strokes gained dog, and we came up with this because when guys play good on a week, this isn't a stat that has to do with overall skill or anything like that. It's when you get into the mix on the back nine on Sunday. Do you have what it takes to stay there? Do you have what it takes to win? And Andrew, you've now, I believe, been in the most final groups on the PGA Tour this year. I saw that tweet earlier this week. And obviously that performance on Sunday was your best performance under the gun in that situation. What have you learned maybe over the season that you applied in the final round on Sunday that led to that result?
Yeah, I think I've gotten more comfortable every time I've been near the lead coming down the stretch. I'm going to imagine I have not seen any of the strokes gained dog rankings. I'm going to imagine I'm pretty far down on that. I actually saw a stat somebody very kindly tagged me in, but apparently I've been in the top 10 starting the final round 10 times, and I have never improved my position from that, which is not good. So I've gone from like second to second, second to third. Like I've stayed up there. I think, Sunday was honestly probably one of my better Sunday performances. I thought it was probably the best I've ever putted in like contention at a time, which was good to see. But that is something that I'm looking to improve on moving forward. I think as I put myself in these positions more, I am handling it better each time.
Yeah, I'll chime in a little bit here, actually. It's funny because today during the Pro-Am, Andrew had his coach with him, and it's cool because when you're in the final groups, you get a lot of TV coverage, so we can kind of look at ourselves after the fact and see how we were swinging, see what like maybe looks different and whatnot. And Andrew's coach brought up a good point about his swing a little bit, how they've kind of learned, on Sundays maybe or under pressure that he has a couple different tendencies. So it's probably good to get the experience. And like the same with me, every time I've been, under the gun, I haven't had a win yet or anything, but I've gotten in the mix kind of similar to Andrew. And you kind of learn a lot about yourself the first few times because you can't replicate those feelings of coming down the stretch in a tour event in practice ever. And I think that's what happens with a lot of maybe rookies or up and comers is you struggle initially to kind of get over the hump. And then once you kind of do, it seems like, you kind of tack on a couple more, like Akshay got over the hump, won again. Osnekro won and then won again. And so I think breaking the barrier is the biggest thing to overcome. And once you can kind of do that, it frees you up so much. So hopefully we can just do that this week.
They talk in other sports, like in football, about the game slowing down for you. And golf is not a fast sport, but there absolutely is something to be said for how quickly things come at you, like, and how much easier it gets to process things, like handle things, poor shots, whatever, when you've done it before. So I don't know if it's necessarily slowing the game down, but it's definitely, I don't know, the experience matters.
And on that front, I think they mentioned it on the broadcast and just watching as well. Like maybe it was Dottie at the beginning of the round, and maybe you had said something in the week of going into the final round. You were cognizant of that, and we're hoping to maybe slow down a little bit in those moments. And then as I was watching, you in some ways were like charging ahead. Your caddy was always in the background. It seemed like when you were walking down the fairways, were you then actively, when you get to your ball, maybe trying to slow down, or was that a battle for you maybe in the final round of knowing that was a key that you wanted to put in play in the final round? And obviously it went great. But were you like actively battling that throughout the round?
Yeah, this is a very small piece that actually was a lot more relevant to Sunday than people might realize. But that was my first time in a final group on a Sunday in twosomes. Okay. Every other time I'd been in a final group, I'd been in threes. So every other time I've played, pace of play has been wildly slower, and especially was something I was really struggling with at Valero, the pace of play, and certainly how long I had to wait, things like that at Valero. I think it threw me off my rhythm a little bit. I got a bit out of sorts and just wasn't really handling kind of just having to wait. I think being in twos allows me to play a lot more comfortably at my pace. Yes, we waited a bit, but in twosomes, you really can't wait that long. I mean, we played in like 4 hours compared to Valero Sunday. And
especially at Harbour Town, it seemed like pace was extra fast anyway at Harbour Town, maybe generally versus a normal.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a lot more comfortable for me to play in pace-wise than maybe previous settings.
And Ben, is that something that I know, obviously, you mentioned you've been in the mix and we follow the game pretty closely. Maybe even Matt might have had a bet on you in one of those events, whether it was Bermuda or Sanderson or last year at the RBC. And maybe you guys are the RBC boys.
Might have.
Ben, you were right there at RBC last year, and obviously Andrew this year. Ben, is that a tendency that you have as well, or is there maybe a different tendency under the gun that you've identified in those events?
Yeah, I think the pace kind of can matter, but really it's more like the internal pace. It's like when something maybe doesn't go your way, you feel like golf's like happening really fast and it can get out of hand quickly, and you kind of have to slow yourself down. But then there's moments where maybe you aren't playing your best in a final round or whatever, and then it's slow, and then it kind of makes you more annoyed maybe. So golf's just such a finicky game where there's all these different external factors that can kind of impact how you play, maybe your rhythm, maybe your flow, maybe just your charisma out there, like, your positivity, stuff like that. I mean, there's so many different factors. And I think one thing I've learned is over the course of my career is trying to get rid of those external factors that can cause you to kind of get irritated or whatever it may be. Getting rid of those is so important, and just staying in kind of your zone and learning your zone, and then just kind of staying within it and until the finish line is the most important. I think another thing that I've learned, especially down the stretch, is there's no comfortable lead really ever. I mean, you even saw Rory at the Masters, and I look back to me at Sanderson. I wish I had taken a couple more aggressive lines down the stretch instead of maybe played to the safer side. Because on tour, I mean, you have to stay aggressive the entire time. Like even Rory, like when he hit 3-wood off 13, like sure, I think statistically that's probably a fine play, and he could have easily just hit that wedge on the green. But because he hit the bad wedge, it made me realize that maybe even for Rory, like not to like call him out or signal him out or anything, but he plays his best golf when he's super aggressive, regardless of if he's in contention or whenever. And like for him, like no lead's really ever that safe, especially Augusta coming down the stretch. And so like for him, like me watching, I was like, man, I wish he had hit driver and just hit it on the green in two, because he probably does that in practice 90% of the time, or maybe not 90% of the time, but probably 75% of the time. And why not continue to do it? And so for me, like one of the important things for me is to continue to stay aggressive down the stretch, even if there's like penalties in play or whatever, still making aggressive swings, maybe to a slightly safer target, but still being really aggressive all the way through. So that's something I've kind of worked on. I wish I had played, one or two tee shots a little different, even at the Cognizant more recently. So, but I continue to put myself in the mix, and it's the same as Andrew. Like we're gonna get it done, and hopefully it's this week.
Hopefully it's this week together. And one more question, Matt, before feel free to jump in. It's very rare, obviously, that we get to talk to somebody the week after they had a putt to win a tournament. And I know Andrew obviously didn't fall this time, but like, what goes through your head in that moment? Honestly, like we said, it's not often that we get to, find out what that's like. And then when it doesn't fall, how hard is it to reset maybe into the playoff? Obviously played the playoff hole solid enough, but kind of what goes through your mind, even going back to the fairway when you saw JT miss his birdie putt and knew like, okay, if I can hit a great iron shot, give myself a chance, executed the iron shot excellently, putt just doesn't fall. Like, are you thinking about this as to win? Are you trying to keep your mind on just make a good stroke? Like what goes on in that moment?
I was 100% aware of that putt being to win. I wanted to make it. I basically walking into it, I was telling myself, like, this is what you work for, like, go get it. Like, you don't know how many chances you have at these. So, yeah, I think mentally, I think I was good. I don't think I was more fearful of the moment. I think I was more excited just to be in it. I just didn't make the putt, but I would say the nerves actually went down a little bit, like the just almost out of body, like tingly. I don't know how to like really explain it, but I felt like going into scoring, the fact that, seconds already locked up, like it's either you win the playoff or you don't. Like, I feel like having a few moments to do scoring and ride back out there, calm, settle things down a little bit. I think I felt a little bit more comfortable in the playoff than on 18 in regulation. And really, like both times through, I hit good golf shots and executed decently. But the putt was on 18. It was a mix of a poor read, not my best speed, and it especially from the camera angle on TV, it didn't look very pretty. I mean, it never really had much of a chance of going in. But even if I hit it better speed, I don't think it would have gone in. I misread it quite poorly.
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit to the Valero and ask you a few questions there. Admin Sarks, outside of strokes gained dog, we also are huge on strokes gained caddy. And you and your caddy, Jeff Andrew, are so in the weeds. I always hear you guys having conversations. I want to ask what went down on a few of those shots that flew the green, like in contention. Did you just flush it so comically hard that the wind was just out of the equation, or was it a little bit of a misread?
Do you have the holes to reference? I specifically know 9.
10 maybe? 9 or 10? Yeah.
I know 9, and 9 was unfortunate. I hit because that was the hole that Harmon was in trouble and had to like take an unplayable and then chip out. Like he was having issues, and so that was definitely a time to jump. I had a 6 iron in and just flushed it, and I
just flushed it too hard. That's all
I hit it too.
It happens.
I hit it too good. I probably got a little too locked in on the pin number where like that target is so small with that wind and the club I had. Like I almost didn't even need to try and hit the green. I probably should have just made sure to leave it short.
Which you
and
did
then
a
get
lot
it up
that
and down.
weekend. You were leaving so many short and then running them up like towards the front pins too. So
yeah, well, it's just so firm. But I think I probably got a little caught up in a number I shouldn't have been thinking of, and probably been more focused on the top of the ridge. Where if maybe I hit 7 iron instead of 6, maybe if I hit an absolutely perfect one like that, it just climbs on. Otherwise, it's short and leaves me the easier chip.
And kind of tying that to RBC, it seemed like you guys were more dialed in. Like, did you feel like in the final round, for example, last week, that some of those learnings from Valero in your partnership with your caddy were
yeah.
through?
Our wind reads last week were awesome, and I don't know, like I know it can swirl there a bit, and there was a lot of wind, but I felt like for whatever reason we were almost never wrong on the wind, which is, I mean, rare. Like you're going to get weird ones sometimes, but last week everything just felt dialed in as far as that. You know, I'd never played there until Tuesday. We were learning on the fly. Literally, like we're like scribbling notes in our books. Like I'm giving him notes and stuff on Thursday while we're playing for like Saturday and Sunday, because I'm like seeing things like, oh wait, we should probably think about this for this pin. Like we were literally just learning on the fly. But I thought we played that was probably, like, without a doubt, our best course management tournament like we've ever played on the PGA Tour. I thought the way we got ourselves around, my scrambling last week, I was 25 of 29, I think, which is like insane. But a lot of that was set up just because of how we were playing. I just always was in the proper position when I was missing greens to allow myself to get up and down.
Yeah, and I will say you mentioned where your dog ranking was coming into last week versus where I had a wager on JT. So I was rooting for JT throughout the week, and then you started to climb into the mix, and I was like, well, now what do we do? He's coming on the pod. Like, that'd be so awesome for the pod. And as I was watching the final round, it kind of had in my head like, okay, let's see how this goes. Turning to the back nine, I was like, Novak won't go away. Like, this man's a killer. He's going to, like, my level of nerves are going up every time you hit a shot. So that speaks to the level of the dog was increasing, because my fear hole by hole, I was like, this guy is playing out of his mind. So I felt the increased level of dog in that final round.
I want to touch on, you mentioned the putting on Sunday, and this is also a question for Ben, and something that, this is why we came here. This is what the viewers want to see. We have a bit at Vincerix where we talk about, you go into the grocery store and you ask someone who do you want in Bermuda? Who's a Bermuda specialist? They say Ben Griffin. Everyone knows it. So Ben, just talk to us about how you became so great on Bermuda and what putting, and even tee to green wise, you just play great on Bermuda courses. And obviously that's why Andrew picked you for the week, because he knows TPC Louisiana. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, the grainiest course on tour. Yeah, it's funny. Going back to like even junior golf in college, I was always really good on bent grass, actually. And then I think I honestly can credit a lot of my success on Bermuda to probably practicing in Sea Island, Georgia, which is all pretty much Bermuda. I think the plantation course might be Paspalum, which I like Paspalum as well. I put pretty good on that. But yeah, it's weird. I just see the putts a lot better. I'm terrible on Poa annua. And Bermuda's kind of the complete opposite. So, I just, for some reason, feel really confident with my putter. Greens tend to get really quick and slick on a lot of the courses we play that are Bermuda. And I think that's when I put my best, when I don't have to quite hit them as hard. And I think Poa annua greens and some of the other greens we putt on that maybe are a touch slower surfaces, I, for some reason, tend to struggle because I think I have to hit the putts a little bit harder, and my stroke can get a little bit out of whack. But I always feel really confident with my stroke on Bermuda.
And
yeah,
even
I mean, that's good to know.
Oh, sorry, Matt. I was just going to ask, looking at your stats, historically, you've always been a great putter. Obviously, like you mentioned on Bermuda, but even on other surfaces, a big time spike putter. And maybe historically off the tee or your ball striking wasn't the strength of your game. Over this year, just looking at the numbers, Ben, like off the tee, your approach is the best it's ever been in the career, but the putter, maybe not at those like historical levels, still solid by tour standards, but not at your best. Is that like we hear sometimes players are practicing, so much of one area and they lose time on another area. Like, do you pay attention to your stats at that level? I know some players don't. And maybe what's gone into that this year and kind of that change of your statistical profile?
Yeah. My statistics are definitely a little skewed early on in the year because of the West Coast swing. If you go and look at my stats from Amex, putted really well. You go look at my stats from Mexico, Cognizant, any of those courses, the stats are still good. So the putting stats I'm not super worried about. And I know it's just a matter of time for that stat to catch back up. And it's just important for me to keep those other stats kind of where they are. I mean, off the tee has been a significant change for me this year. It's been really good. The best it's ever been in my career. And then, the irons are still there. So as long as my putting's pretty sharp, I know it's going to click kind of the rest of the season because a lot of the courses seem to fit my game better.
And what has gone into the off the tee improvement? Like your accuracy numbers clearly are miles better than they have been in previous seasons. Was that like an active focus in the off season? Has there been like a swing change, different equipment? Like what's gone into that great improvement?
Touch on the ball too, because I was going to ask about the ball. So you can lead it into this.
Yeah, the ball. Yeah, I'll start with the driver. It really started after the playoffs last year. I was really struggling off the tee, and I knew I needed to make not only like swing change, a little equipment switch, kind of a little bit all of the above, and really kind of tune that in, figure out what's kind of going wrong, where my misses are. My misses tend to be to the right, which is I like having a right miss, but my problem was my bias was a little too far right. So tuning that in a little bit more to where maybe my pushes are now catching the right edge of the fairway instead of catching the right rough. That makes a huge difference if I can get one or two more fairways, even if it's just on the week, but definitely per round. If I can get one more fairway, it's going to probably saved me, a quarter to a half of a shot, depending on what course we're playing. So pretty significant. And that was, really after the playoffs last year, I knew I needed to change some things up because my driver was costing me a lot down the stretch. In a few tournaments, the Wyndham Championship, I had a couple of OB balls. And if I take those away, I'm probably, right there, especially with the way, unfortunately the Max Grazeman finished, but I only probably lost that event by, 4 or 5 shots. And I think I even had like three putts the last 2 rounds. So super weird, especially for me on Bermuda, but
Bermuda.
Yeah, so made some changes there, and then the golf ball has been amazing ever since I switched. It's helped my irons a ton because I'm using the Maxfly ball I use is actually a little bit higher launch, higher spin, and so into the greens, it's been amazing on most PGA Tour golf courses, especially when it gets firm and fast. It's been kind of a game changer for me. I used to be kind of really good at flighting it and really good in the wind, and now the ball I'm using probably isn't the best ball on the market in windy conditions, but when it's firm and fast and perfect conditions outside, like the Amex, for instance, I know I can get to like almost all the pins, even with my long irons. So, and I've gained some distance off the tee with it. So kind of there's been a few factors that have helped me so far this season.
Andrew, have you tested that ball out yet this week, the hit Ben's ball?
Yeah. We played all 18 with it today in our Pro-Am. I toyed with it a bit at home because I knew we'd be playing it this week on the alternate shot day. So I'm pretty comfortable with it at this point.
It was super unique that you guys went to that, or that you went to that, Ben, because when I saw it come out, I thought it was like a meme at first. Like Ben Griffin's playing a max fly ball, and then I heard you talking about it, and you seem to really like it, and the results are the results. So I guess keep it up. It's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, when I first tested it, I was like, seriously, like a max fly, like there's no way I'm going to use it. But the testing numbers are actually phenomenal. More and more people know about it on tour and have messed around with it, and it's definitely kind of affecting the market, not the tour market a little bit, but definitely like I think people at home are starting to realize the value from it. It's like I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think it was actually going to help my game, because the golf ball is like the way the PGA Tour is nowadays with the amount of money we play for, like. It's
you
a
need
golf
to be
ball
dialed.
deal.
Yeah.
Like this is the most important part of probably my game, like in the golf bag. And almost every guy would probably say that on tour because it's used for every single shot. It's like, I'm not going to switch to it just for a price tag. I need to like make sure this is like a really good ball. And I tested it in tournaments and saw the results, gained 2 miles per hour off the tee, ball speed, like immediately from the previous ball I was using. I was like, went through all the numbers, and it was kind of a no-brainer at that point. And more people are starting to kind of realize how good of a ball it is.
Yeah. And outside of the ball, kind of your guys' tactics, we've talked about your stats. You're both great short game players, especially in conditions like this. Do you have tactics, whether it's in the alternate shot or the best ball that you've talked about, or kind of how are you thinking about attacking the golf course?
I think for the best ball, we're pretty much mostly going to be playing our games. Like, playing. There's a couple opportunities on the course where maybe you could play slightly more aggressive if your teammate's in good position. But for the most part, I mean, we're going to just be attacking. And then the alternate shot, we've already got it squared away, like which holes we're going to be each teeing off of. So outside of that, it's just golf.
Yeah, the course layout's interesting at what is it, TPC in Louisiana?
Yeah.
Because if you tee off on the odd holes, you're playing 3 out of the 4 par 3s, and a couple of the tee shots are a little different. Whereas if you tee off on the evens, the tee shots are a little bit more challenging. Maybe you only have 1 par 3. The 1 par 3 doesn't have really any trouble. So, like I'm taking on the evens, and Andrew's going to take on the odds. So Andrew's going to have the tougher par 3s, which his iron play might be a little bit better than mine. But I don't know. There's definitely some tactics that some teams can choose. Like especially if you're going in and picking a partner. Like if you're a really good driver of the golf ball, like Rory McIlroy, and you want to take on those evens, you want to find a partner that's really good with their irons. So there are some tactics.
We touched on that earlier in the week, and obviously TPC Louisiana, there's different ways to go about how you can score there, but Adam ran a ton of numbers, and he realized that the best teams that got into contention have been a driver putter guy and a iron play guy. And that's kind of obviously what Rory and Shane are at the core. But you two are very balanced. You guys are both good across, like not quite amazing at one thing. You guys are like just good across the board. And I think that could be a great way to go about attacking this golf course just from a comfortability standpoint.
Yeah, our games are pretty similar, probably.
Yeah.
Taking a step back, one thing when we realized both of you guys were coming on the pod that I thought was interesting is like you guys have had very different paths to where you're at right now in your PGA Tour careers. Obviously, Ben, I know you were a top junior player, great college player as well. Not that you weren't, Andrew, but that you then took a step back, took time away from the game, and it seemed like that didn't know if this path to where you're at now is going to end up being where you are. If you think back to then, and you could go back and talk to Ben at that moment when you didn't know if this was gonna like work out for you, what would you tell him to maybe think that it's going to work out, it's going to be all right? And maybe what have you learned over that period that's helped educate you going forward on what it'll take to even continue to level up in your career?
Oh, is this question for me? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Ben. Yeah, that was
bad. I think the best way to honestly characterize our golf careers is to look at the stock market, and you could think of like this perfect, like, I don't know, think of a company like Walmart that's always just like a safe play that's just going to steadily go up 5 to 10% a year. That's Andrew Novak's career from junior golf to college. Like, he's just super steady. And me, I'm like probably like 2025 stock market where like, all right, we have this bull run and then all of a sudden we're back down. We got tariffs and then, okay, tariffs are going away. We're back up. Like, that's been my career. I've been super cyclical. I'd say the last few years though, I've been more on the Walmart train where I'm steadily 5 to 10% growth a year. But yeah, it's been cool to watch Andrew Novak's career. Like, just kind of, I mean, we competed in junior golf and whatnot. And I always knew he was a really good player. And there's no doubt he still had success in college, being at Wofford, but his steady climb, like, all right, turn pro, I'm conditional on the Korn Ferry Tour. Okay, now I keep my Korn Ferry Tour card. Okay, now I get my PGA Tour card. Now I'm in the 126 to 150 category. Okay, work my way, play really well, get out of that. Now I'm top 125. Now I'm top, what'd you finish last year? Like 80 on the FedEx Cup?
Yeah, like 85.
85.
Like
so
yeah.
If you look at Andrews, every single year, he's just progressively gotten better. So there's no advice that I can really give him because he's getting better every single year. The advice Andrew need to give me is like, don't get down on yourself when you're in these troughs. And okay, what are you doing now today when you're at the top?
I think it was
a freaking stupid game.
I think it was good for you to kind of have that though. Like, I feel like it reset your mindset though. Like, I feel like there was a point there where you were kind of not sure on a lot of things. Like, you were very indecisive, like what you wanted to do, golf, other things, whatever. And I think taking some time off helped be like, okay, wait a minute, this is actually, golf is something I want to do, something I should be committing to more. And I mean, you always had the talent, so.
Well, you guys are both top 50. It is May, but you guys are, or whatever month it is, and you guys are both top 50 right now. So what are your goals? Obviously, your goals are to make the Tour Championship, win Eastlake, but any specific weeks you guys are looking forward to? Obviously this week, and I want to ask you another question about this week after, but what are your main goals outside of win a golf tournament?
I think this week's kind of good practice for us at the Ryder Cup. Get our best ball going, get our alternate shot going.
Ben, we know you're going to hit fairways, so they might need you at that page.
You can throw back to your bent days up there. It might be tough, but we'll see.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, I think both of our goals are to win. Like, we've had although our careers have been very different, we're kind of in the same point in our careers where we're both getting in the mix a lot more. Andrew more recently than I have, in the last few weeks, but we both really want to win. And once we get that off of our backs, like, the rest is going to take care of itself. I think if both of us win, or we're to win at some point, whether it's this week or moving forward, like, we're both on the map for Ryder Cup. We're both looking good for the Tour Championship. Like, all those things kind of take care of itself. And you just got to kind of focus in on the week you have and just try to get in the mix and get it done. Like,
I want to ask quickly before you go, Adam, what's the vibe? You talked about Zurich strategy, but what's the vibe at the Zurich? I've been to, Andrew, you've seen me at a ton of events, but I've never been to the Zurich. Like, how is it out there? Like, is it like relaxed? But there's so much to play for. Like, we saw Davis Riley and Nick Hardy make some big events after that. Like, what's the vibe out there? I'm really wondering.
It's Louisiana. Like, it's honestly perfect that the event's here because, like, Louisiana, like, party atmosphere, like, it is a little bit more laid back. Like, guys are having a little bit more fun. But, like, it's still a tournament. Like, you get to Sunday, like, it's serious. Like, guys are trying to win. But I would say, especially coming off the last couple of weeks, it is perfectly placed for, like, a week where you can kind of have a little bit more fun, be a little bit more loose in this team atmosphere.
On the kind of looking forward to different courses and goals for the year, I know, Ben, you mentioned, for example, and we've been talking about like great on Bermuda courses. You know, when you go to a Bermuda course, you're going to putt well. Is it tough going to maybe a course or a venue that doesn't feel the same way? Or do you go into every week with like the same level of confidence that, you know, this is a week I can win, whatever it may be? Or is there a battle sometimes, and the same for you, Andrew, going to a course that maybe doesn't fit your game as much? Or do you try to keep, I know you try to keep, but is it hard to keep that same attitude from one week to the next?
Yeah, I mean, I think every golfer has courses that fit their games way better. You know, we both have the same agency, and my agent also represents Brian Harmon, and they always use the data golf tool of course fit to figure out his schedule, because they know certain courses it's like not even worth it for him to show up, because a really good week for him could be a top 20. And that's totally true for me. Like on the West Coast, like I'm just trying to have some good top finishes. Like obviously I'm trying to win, but I know in the back of my head, like if I play my super A game, like yes, I can win, but you know, my B game at a different event on Bermuda or whatever it may be, like I can still get in the mix. So you're kind of, a lot of guys pick their schedules based off that. But yeah, it's hard sometimes when I play certain venues that don't fit my game. It's hard to mentally remind myself like, hey, you've got this. And so the course does play a huge role. But don't get me wrong, any of us on tour play well any given week randomly. It's golf.
You almost won in Canada last year. They couldn't grow a blade of Bermuda on that course, though. It's any given week at golf. Like, yeah. But I mean, it's any given week. Like we're both good enough. If we play well, our game's going to travel.
Yep. Right. And Ben, I wanted to ask you about, obviously, I'm not sure how much you know, but you were one of the favorites. Is Ben still there? Can we get a wellness check on Ben? Or are you frozen?
He might be frozen. Might have to switch for an Andrew question.
Ben is frozen. You got one for Andrew real quick?
Oh, this is which break, Andrew, did you feel like the golf gods were shining more on you when you banked it off in San Antonio, or was it maybe 12 in RBC this week when your ball hit the trees and ended up in the fairway, or like which break felt?
Yeah, I think obviously the fact that it was Sunday and I was in the mix the way I was, the break on 12 was crazy. Because I mean, if it kicks that much the other way, it's out of bounds. That bounce on 12 was crazy. It's funny, like the tour just literally posted a video of me on 11 where I got a bad tree kick literally the hole before. And I wasn't like complaining too bad about it, but I was like saying like, you know, we got screwed here, whatever. And then all the comments are people like, this is the luckiest guy ever because of the bounce I had the next hole. And I didn't even realize, apparently my ball clipped a tree on 13 as well, the very next hole, which I didn't even know it did. I mean, my ball was going right down the fairway, but there's like a tree that overhangs. And I guess on coverage, it looked like it kicked out of the tree or something. So
because that's kind of confusing because like you hit and like picked up the tee quickly. It looked like you loved it. And then I think
fairway, like it was right where I was trying to go. Yeah. Like the way the fairway like swings out, you're trying to get on the right side up there where it swings out because it was a back left pin. And I didn't even know I clipped that tree, but apparently it did like go through some of the leaves there. So yeah, it looked like I got a couple of them. I would say the one in Valero was crazy, but like even if it's just there, like I can probably get that up and down for par. Like it's not the end of the world. I hit it over there last year and like it made par, like whatever. But that one at Heritage was definitely like that might have been like a full shot bounce right there.
Ben's back, Adam.
Ben's back. Cool. Let me add him back in there. But yeah, no, that makes sense. It was just funny because your shot on 13 looks good. You're picking up the tee. Dottie's like, looks like it might be headed right, and then it like clips the tree.
It was headed right. I mean, it was comfortably right in those pines there. I was not going to have anything great.
Oh yeah, that was on 12. But I was saying on 13, it like you thought it was right down or right where you're aiming, and then it hits.
Yeah, it was down like right center. But that's kind of where, I mean, that was where I was essentially trying to hit it. It was a left or right breeze, so the wind might have been moving it a bit, but it was definitely like always down the direction of the fairway. I think on previous days I had flown over that tree maybe and gotten where I had gotten to because I was shorter that day. So I think I clipped maybe some leaves at the top and then just dropped more straight down into that part of the fairway.
Did you have a feel, and obviously you're, again, going back to the stats, like around the greens, you're one of the best players on the PGA Tour in that department. You look so comfortable in your motion, I would say. So it's so feel-based, it looks like. It's not mechanical in any way. Did you feel like you were going to get everything up and down? Because the way you hit some amazing up and downs from short-sided and things like that, and obviously it was getting quick and it was running away, but was that a part, being under the gun and you're feeling different things, is that a part of your game where you just felt so good? Because it looked like you were just so confident around the greens.
Yeah. I mean, the way it was, like a light overseed, the ball's kind of sitting up everywhere. If I'm in the fairway, like there are multiple times I miss greens where I'm going to play those holes under par from those positions. Like I should not be making bogeys from any of those spots, and I'm going to chip them in at times. I mean, I think I chipped in
Sunday
at least twice, I think, last week. I think I chipped in twice. But like really, yeah, that's stuff I grew up playing, like chipping off of. Like I've hit those shots so many times. As long as I'm leaving myself in the right spots, I think statistically, from the stats guy I talked to, like Harbour Town's one of the easier courses to scramble on from around the greens, because you have smaller greens, so you're not necessarily that far from the hole when you're missing greens. And yeah, the lies are perfect.
All right, I'll ask you another moment of truth question that the subscribers want to know. Back-to-back top three, and then the runner-up, then a top three, whatever it was. You haven't done that since you've gotten the Zurich shirt. How much do you think that has gone into that?
I've been getting some good use out of that Zurich shirt, man. It's a good shirt. I can't say it's all the success is coming from it, but yeah, I've been rocking it.
Good. We're glad. We've given it to a few guys and it's been going well so far. Have we gotten a win yet with it, or Adam, or not yet?
No, not yet, but we're knocking on the door. Bud Colley's been playing great. Obviously, Andrew's been playing great. So yeah, we think, and we gave a shirt to P. Reed's caddy, and he almost won the Masters. So that's pretty good. Like we'll take that. Yeah. Andrew, speaking of the majors, I assume this finish has put you in pretty good shape going into some of the majors the rest of the year. How are you feeling? Or obviously you're excited about that, but looking ahead to some of the big tournaments now that this result has unlocked for you, that's got to be exciting. And how do you kind of think about that going forward?
Yeah, I'll be in my first PGA now, and that'll be at Quail Hollow. I'm gonna have so many Wofford people there in Charlotte, a lot of family, so that's going to be super, super exciting. Like I couldn't really ask for a better first PGA start, just because the atmosphere. I'm going to have so many fans there again, which is going to be super fun. And then Oakmont
is going to be there for us. It's going to be beautiful, dude.
Yeah. Oakmont for the U.S. Open. My caddy's from Pennsylvania. He grew up not far from there. He club caddied there back in the day. So, that's going to be crazy. We're going to have a ton of people there as well. My wife's family's all from up in Pennsylvania. So, I can't wait. I really, the majors schedule this year is about as good as I can ask for me.
How long did it take after, obviously disappointing to finish runner-up, but you mentioned you kind of reset even going into the playoff, like I've got nothing to lose here. How quickly were you able to kind of recognize all those awesome things that come from that result going forward, even obviously the disappointment? Did it kind of hit in quickly, or are you still is that still hitting you after the fact?
Yeah, I knew I was playing for a lot. I think each day I've kind of found out something new that is coming from this that is pretty cool. I think it's just kind of inspiring me to want to do it again, put myself up in contention again, and then, win. I wanted to win, but a second place in an elevated solo second is really good as well. So, I'm still,
cloud nine.
I'm still riding it. Hopefully just keeping good momentum going and can finally parlay it into win at some point.
I got one more for you before Adam wraps it up. Obviously, we're at Quail for the PGA this year, and I don't believe you've played the Wells Fargo at Quail, but it's a real shame.
I've never played Quail.
You never played Quail. So
never at all. Yeah.
Never at all. So, all right. So going forward into years in the future, hopefully there's a Pro-Am at Quail when you're playing it. Which Panthers player do you want to play with at past, present, or future? And talk a little bit about your Panthers love, which is the first thing we bonded over.
If I'm getting a foursome, definitely throwing Dan Morgan in there. I'm a Canes fan. I'm a Panthers fan. He's the GM now. Gotta have Dan Morgan in there for the same reason. Greg Olson, Kane, Panther, awesome, great. Goodness me, I don't see, I've got to have Cam in there. I've got to have Luke in there. But like, I also feel like Brenton Burson, Wofford guy, played for the Panthers. Like, I should probably have him in there. Like, it's tough, man. But yeah, Cam's my guy. So I'd probably have Cam in there. And
I'm going CMC Luke and CMC Luke and Cam for me.
Yeah, CMC. Yeah.
I was a few months ago. I was walking down the street in New York. I think it was during Heisman time, and I just see Cam Newton just walking down the street with like the most like eclectic outfit.
Yeah, that's about right.
With first of all, speak of, I know you've got fantasy football pod. Is it a pod? Whatever. Maybe like give the people.
It's not necessarily fantasy. Yeah, it's all NFL. So we literally dropped it Wednesday today. But yeah, I guess we did our full first round mock of the NFL draft. We both this is a former teammate of mine and I, and we basically ran through the whole first round, picked what we thought would happen. We got a few spicy trades in there and everything. It's just something I love doing. Like, I love talking ball. I love football, and it's just a fun thing for me to get to do. And I'm watching the games anyway. I'm following it anyway, so it's fun to just talk about it.
That's how we feel about golf. We're watching it anyway. We're digging in and love to talk about it. And what's a spicy draft take that you've got if people are listening to this tomorrow morning before the
and who do we have the Panthers drafting to?
Okay, so I'll do this all in one. I actually have the Panthers trading down. I have it's a whole conspiracy theory thing, but I have the Steelers moving all the way up from 21 to 8 to jump the Saints in order to take Shedeur Sanders. Panthers going all the way down to 21.
So no Rodgers to Pittsburgh.
No, even if they do. But for now, I have them taking Shedeur, doing that. Panthers drop all the way back and then loop around, and they actually still get to grab a playmaker for Bryce Young, Matthew Golden out of Texas.
Okay. I'm down. We need positivity in Charlotte.
Yeah.
We need something.
So if we drop all the way down to 21, I'd imagine we're probably getting next year's first from the Steelers. We're getting a stud wide receiver. I mean, as a Panthers fan, like, that's very much a pipe dream. But yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think we need it.
We probably just stay at 8, take Jalen Walker, but whatever.
Or is he the guy from the
Georgia
defensive end? Yeah,
from Georgia. Yeah,
that's the guy.
But he grew up in the Carolinas. That's the thing. They always take the local kid. So
we made that mistake last year with the receiver. I don't
take the local kid. I'm just saying that's what they do. I don't know why. Tepper's got like a little, I don't know, complex with that. Whatever.
I'm from Seattle. I'm a Seahawks fan, and there was like basically a decade straight where we traded down in the first round for or we took a running back in the first round for like 10 straight. I think last year was the first year with the new coach we started actually using our first round draft pick. So I'm excited.
Y'all need offensive line, so probably do that.
Yeah,
we need to listen to screenplay like ASAP for tomorrow for sure.
Yeah. So dial up screenplay before the draft. Turn on the Zurich Classic. Afternoon tea time, right, for you and Ben tomorrow?
Yeah, but like just afternoon, so we should be plenty done in time for me to get back for the draft.
Ben's back. I'll ask him one more question.
Buzzer beater. Ben Griffin, as we were about to wrap up, buzzer beater sneaks back in its last. Do you have any NFL draft takes, Ben? That was what you got here in time for.
So I apologize. My phone, I've had it for 3 years, and my charger only works in certain positions. It's really weird, but we're back. Honestly, I have no idea. Andrew's your guy for NFL draft.
All right, I'll give you my last question was going to ask you earlier. I wanted you to walk us through the process. Were you in Punta Cana last week? I know you withdrew to go to Harbour Town as a first alternate. You were never there. So what happened there?
Yeah, this is one kind of maybe mini flaw in the system. Is
definitely a flaw.
I'm first alternate, and so the strategy is like, all right, there's probably, I'm basically playing a game of odds of, will I get into the Heritage? And if I don't, I want to be in Dominican, but I can't be in Dominican in case I get in Heritage.
Right.
So I'm kind of stuck in this no man's land where, like, if I don't get into the Heritage, I basically have to take a week off, and I basically get passed in all the rankings, which sucks. But I can't go to Dominican and then get in Heritage and be like, well, shoot, what do I do now? Like, you can't just risk not being there. So I was never in the Dominican. I wanted to go, but unfortunately I was first alternate. And so I basically had to be in Hilton Head. I was actually trying to get, they had a sponsor invite. They had the last spot they didn't give away until Monday morning. And I know I was in the running for that, but then found out basically last minute.
It's a shame because I was clicking your name 20-1 for the Corrales Punta Cana. I was ready to run you out, and I got the PGA Tour comms notification, and then we didn't even get any Ben Griffin golf last week, so it was definitely a shame.
I'm not gonna lie, I had multiple people text me with disappointment that you weren't playing in Corrales. So we were
this man has been first alternate 2 weeks in a row. He was 51st in the world for Augusta and first ball for RBC. So he's ready to play some golf.
Yeah, I'm lucky I got a spot this week at Zurich. So
yeah,
we're back.
Hungry.
I actually did have one more question for you, Ben, that I just remembered. And it was someone you mentioned very early on in the pod, coincidentally. As I said, we're always in the numbers. We're always looking for guys who might be up and coming, might be popping off soon. Your boy Ryan Gerard is like across the bag, looks like a top level potential player on the PGA Tour. I was just curious.
Course record holder at Panther National, by the way. Course record holder.
Oh yeah.
Does the eye test of playing with him throughout his life match up what we're seeing on the numbers from Ryan? And should we keep our eyes peeled on him going forward?
I mean, first and foremost, can't give any betting advice here, but yeah, I played with Ryan for a while, since junior golf, and we were college teammates. And yeah, I mean, his game is solid. You know, if you're in person watching it, you're like, whoa, that swing's a little goofy. Like, wonder if he can like control, spin it enough at the tour level. But like, the guy grinds and is ready to hungry more than anyone to compete, and he's not really afraid of anything. Like, even in college, he was always. I know you have your strokes gained dog. Like, he's probably up there, honestly, in a strokes gained dog.
Send you guys the rankings.
I feel like he's the type of guy who's not really afraid of a moment. So it's been cool to see his success, and and his game's obviously good enough to compete on tour.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate the strokes gained dog shout out. We've been trying to. We're always crunching the numbers, and now that we've had the chance to chat with some players and caddies, it is nice to hear who you guys think belong in the strokes gained dog ranking.
Just quick question: how high up is Nick Taylor on that?
Very high.
He might be
very high.
Hold on.
He's the greatest clutch putter I've ever played with. So I was wondering.
So happy you said that.
You are. We really appreciate this because he is. Where is he? He's number 10. He's number 10. He's right behind Bobby Mack, who I think you battled with in Canada, Ben.
I did. Yeah.
Golf has nothing to do with how good you are at golf. It's when you're in the mix, how do you perform when you're in the mix? And Nick Taylor does it, like you said. So, yeah.
Who's number one? Who's like top three? Just curious.
So the top three is not that fun. It's Scotty, Brooks, Xander. The randomest, or I guess what you would call random to like versus their world ranking that we have in the top 10 is we have Billy Horschel number 6. Billy Ho is our like strokes gained dog, the face of it.
Tell them who the randomest one is, number 13.
Oh, Pablo Larrazabal. Do you guys even know who that is?
Oh yeah, plays over in Europe. Yeah.
Ton of dogs.
Sepp. We have Sepp pretty high up here. Would you guys consider Sepp high in the dog rankings?
Sepp was playing nice on Sunday in Bay Hill when I played with him. He had it going until a volunteer yelled in his backswing on 17, which kind of derailed his run. So that was unfortunate.
Actually, this is perfect. We can finish with this. A person who's in the top 20 of the dog rankings who you just kind of took care of in the final round. Siwoo Kim was in the top 20, Andrew, of the dog rankings, and you just outplayed him. What was it like playing with Siwoo, first of all? And should we might have to be moving you up out of Siwoo based on the final round at RBC.
Siwoo was awesome. Like, playing with Siwoo was great. I know his caddy, him. I played with him a few times. Like, playing with Siwoo is a good time just because he's kind of crazy and funny, and I don't know. I love Siwoo.
You don't know what you're gonna get.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great to watch. Then I think it was like 15 or after 16, you made that great putt on 16, and they cut to Siwoo, and he was just like sadly sitting behind the green, walking to the tee. The visual was.
But he had a great shot. He had like 4-footer for birdie on that hole.
Yeah,
he did. That was.
Yeah. But yeah,
I played with Siwoo before, and there was a par 4, I think, in Memphis, and it was like everyone was hitting iron off the tee. He pulled out driver just for fun and just punched.
Just doesn't care. He was hitting some crazy shots at Hilton Head.
He hit 240 yards, 240-yard driver.
He probably has the best stinger on tour. I don't really know who.
And driver off the deck too. He flushes driver off the deck.
Rico Hoey might have best driver off the deck.
Generational flusher, Rico Hoey.
It's impressive.
The thing about Siwoo's is nice, but it rolls a lot. Rico's it could spin back at any given moment. It could spin back on a certain
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to see that.
I was watching some of the Corrales last week, and Chan Kim was generationally flushing the ball too. Have you guys ever played with Chan?
Oh yeah, I know Chan.
Yeah, I played with Chan recently, actually. I don't remember where though.
Well, we also one final shout out, North Carolina guy. We'd like to keep one amateur in the dog rankings just to keep our eyes peeled. And the only Corn Ferry guy we had who came up was Carl Villip. So we clapped.
He was in the dog rankings before he won, by the way.
So we were up on Carl, but the man we have currently in is David Ford. Ben, do you have any David Ford? Is he worthy of being on the fringes of the dog rankings this early in his career?
Yeah, I mean, he's won, I think, the last 3 college events he's played in. He was always, even going back to his freshman year at North Carolina, he was always the guy when I was out there practicing with the team, which I go back and practice every once in a while with those guys. My family lives in Chapel Hill, so I've gotten to know pretty much every player, and he was always the guy who, in my mind, I was like, this guy is going to win a bunch on the PGA Tour. He's just kind of like Brian Harman in a way. So he's very talented. We'll see how his career continues to progress and everything, but right now he's doing all the right things in college.
Beautiful. Well, we really appreciate you guys coming on. Good luck out there at the Zurich. We'll be rooting for you, and good luck to the Panthers also, Andrew, in the draft. I'm not sure which one you want more good luck for, the Zurich or the Panthers in the draft.
I'll take both.
All right. Fair enough. Good luck, guys.
All right.
Peace.
Appreciate it.